Hey, this is Stacy from Let's Cook, y'all. Welcome back to our channel. We're back with a new week of What's for Dinner. There are some restaurants starting to open up where we live, but we are continuing to stay home and cook from our pantry, fridge, and freezer. We hope you enjoy the meals in this week's video, and we've got a new bonus recipe that I baked at the end. Starting off this week, I made something that made Tim very, very happy. He grew up eating a lot of meatloaf, and he loves it. I do not like it. My mom, bless her heart and God rest her soul, she made not very good meatloaf. It was really dry, so it's not something I like, but this is a recipe I've made in the past that we both actually really like. I started by mixing some ketchup and Dijon mustard. I kept part of it out. That will be used for the topping of the little mini meatloaves, and then you just mix up a basic meatloaf type recipe. If you're interested in this recipe, leave me a comment and I can add it to our website. I took some grass-fed beef, an egg, some chopped up onion, some seasonings, and breadcrumbs and mixed it all together. And remember, if you don't have breadcrumbs in the house, you can make your own. Just take some heels or a couple pieces of sandwich bread and whiz them up in your food processor or a blender and make your own. They're a little better toasted with some seasonings, but you don't have to have that, and you can add whatever you like. I make them into little meatloaf patties. This was a pound of grass-fed beef, so I probably should have made 4, but I made a 5th one, a little smaller one for me, and then topped it with the reserved ketchup mustard mixture, and then baked them in my oven. I had a zucchini in my refrigerator. Normally I take my zucchini and slice it and dice it up with some onion and saute it in a skillet and just serve it on the side. But this was one of those days when I actually felt like cooking. I know there hasn't been as many of those lately as there should have been, but this was a good day. So I took the zucchini and the onion and grated it to make something I hadn't made in a while because it's a little more labor intensive. Once I grated them, I put it in a clean dish towel and took it over to the sink and tried to wring out as much of the liquid as I could and get the zucchini and the onion as dry as I could. Then I put it in my mixing bowl with some diced onion. I added an egg. I added some flour, some breadcrumbs. You can do the flour or the breadcrumbs or both or whatever you like. Panko would work well too. And then I added some seasonings. This is another recipe. It's like those that I often cook where I don't really use strict measurements. It's more of a adjust as I go along. What I'm looking for here is a consistency that I can make into a patty or a cake. Sometimes if I'd gotten more of the liquid out, I wouldn't have needed to add more flour and breadcrumbs, but I got it to the consistency I wanted and got my skillet out. Once my skillet is hot and I can feel the heat, then I add the oil. I did think about trying these in my air fryer, but I decided to go old school, so I might try that next time. I have learned through trial and error through the years not to put too many patties in there. Like my pancakes, I do better flipping them when the skillet is not as crowded, so I only cooked 3 at a time in a couple of batches. But these are zucchini fritters or zucchini cakes, and we love them. Just needs to be 160 to 165, so that is plenty. Tonight we're having mini meatloaves, which Tim loves meatloaf and I hardly ever make it. I like them in a more manageable size. I'm not a big meatloaf fan. And I roasted the potatoes, put some butter and cheese on them. I sauteed mushrooms. If I'd remembered that I had the mushrooms, I would have thrown them on the sheet pan and roasted them with the potatoes, but I forgot, so I just sauteed them. And I grated the zucchini and made zucchini patties, pancakes, cakes, whatever you want to call them. So that is our dinner tonight. I'll show you a picture of our plate. Looks like each week has a Taco Tuesday included. This week is no exception. It is easy. We love it. We've talked about it before. We're missing Mexican food, so I've got some black beans, some salsa chicken, which is the easiest thing in the whole wide world, some homemade guacamole. Instead of making rice, I had this. It was either one of the Kroger Free Friday downloads a while ago, or actually I think it was something I got free after rebate from Ibotta. I don't have a lot of hope for it, but it was something in the pantry that needs to be used. It took 90 seconds in the microwave. So we've got some little rice and beans, all the fixings, tortillas, chips to go with the guacamole, and we will make chicken soft tacos with rice, beans, guacamole, and chips. That's what's for dinner tonight. I've mentioned it before in previous videos, I like to make a lot of my own sauces and dressings, so whenever something calls for honey mustard, I just get out honey and mustard, and being the good southern girl that I am, I usually add some mayonnaise. So this is me making a honey mustard sauce that can also double as a dressing. I usually mix up the sauce first because I like it a little thicker, and then I will thin it out with an additional little bit of olive oil and vinegar to make a dressing. I love finding products that have air fryer directions already on them. We are going to eat in courses or shifts tonight. The first thing out of the air fryer is an appetizer course. We had some of these left over from maybe football season. So some mozzarella sticks out of the air fryer with marinara is up first. Not the healthiest of meals, but still on the comfort food train. Starting off with mozzarella sticks with marinara. Then I did the Tyson crispy chicken strips in the air fryer. That's the homemade honey mustard. I also made us a big salad. I'm just gonna have salad with a little bit of chicken on the side. Tim asked for wraps, so I took some tortillas out of my freezer, and I'm gonna have a really big salad. I'll take half of this one with the honey mustard dressing and some chicken, and fried, and salad is what's for dinner tonight. If you haven't figured it out yet, I'm still ecstatic to have yeast. So I've got the yeast back out, my bread machine out, and I'm going to put a dough in for some pizza. If you don't have a bread machine, but you do have yeast, I've got another pizza dough. I can dig it up and leave a link to it. I think it's in all recipes that I've made many times with great success. It does, however, have yeast in it, which I know is really hard for people to find, but this one is really easy. You use 2 1/4 cups of flour. I've got 1 1/4 of white and 1 cup of wheat, 1/2 teaspoon each of salt and Italian seasoning, 3/4 cups of warm water, which is over in my microwave, warming up, a tablespoon each of some kind of oil. I'm going to use olive oil, sugar, I'm going to use honey, and some milk powder, and then 1 teaspoon of yeast and a little Italian season to give it flavor. So I'm gonna mix this up and put it on the dough setting in my bread machine. I've shown my bread machine in the last couple of videos, and someone left a comment, I think it was Latasha, and asked about my bread machine, and I started doing a little research, and I was so shocked to see that apparently, like yeast and flour, bread machines are almost impossible to get your hands on. I checked places like Amazon, Walmart.com, Target.com, even Williams-Sonoma, and bread machines were all out of stock. So if you've got one, you might want to dig it out. If you don't, you may be out of luck for a while. An hour and a half later, after the dough cycle finished on my machine, I was able to get the dough out and work with it. I love this rolling pin, and I love working with dough. I did take my pizza stone and roll it out into a rectangle. I pricked the dough with a fork and then put some olive oil and Italian seasoning on it. I should have probably put the pizza stone in the oven and gotten it hot. I think the crust does better that way. Next time, note to self, Stacy, go ahead and try par baking the crust before I top it with the sauce and the toppings, but it was fine. It was delicious, it was homemade, and we definitely ate this pizza. Tim's favorite pizza is the Supreme, and he obviously likes all the meats. Rather than pulling out every kind of meat that I had, hamburger, sausage, ham, I didn't have any Canadian bacon. I simply chose to use pepperoni and mushrooms and cheese, which was my favorite, not definitely Tim's. Pizza and a salad with some olives and pepperoni, carrying out the Italian theme. This is pepperoni and mushrooms, Stacy's choice. It probably doesn't have enough meat on it for Tim, but hopefully he will eat it.
I'm sure he will.
You sure he will? That's what's for dinner tonight. Diagonals?
We'll start diagonals.
Alexa, dismiss. Burn yourself. Too much cheese, it's gooey.
Never too much cheese.
It was gooey, it's not too much cheese.
Never too much cheese.
Okay. a big piece. It
I can
takes
get
up
a
the whole
small one
plate.
for you.
Give me a little bitty one.
How about that one?
Okay. Normally when I make potato salad, I prefer to use red potatoes or russets, but during quarantine pandemic times, I prefer to use what I have, so I'm using these little creamer potatoes. We'll make the best of it with mayonnaise, mustard, a couple kinds of mustard, some pickle juice, some hard-boiled egg, and seasonings. Potato salad is made. I'm going to make some coleslaw also for dinner tonight. I'm going to use half the bag of coleslaw and add some stuff to it and save the other half for another recipe. We do have a video on how I make coleslaw really creamy. I use a mixture of mayonnaise and plain non-fat Greek yogurt if I had it. If I had remembered it when I was making the potato salad, I would have used some of this for the mayonnaise. Not all of it because it is kind of tangy, but I do use some of it. And I'm going to add some things to the coleslaw, like some more onion and carrot, a pinch of sugar, some salt, pepper, a little lemon juice, a little vinegar, and a little milk to make it creamy. And as I said, we've got a recipe, and I'll leave a link to that video. I prefer to cut up my own cabbage, but I bought the bag for another reason. So I do like to go through. The machine that cuts this stuff up misses a lot of this core, so I go through and pull it out. Duh, I put the stuff up after making the potato salad and forgot the most important ingredient. Coleslaw needs pickles. Most people use sweet. I'm a dill fan, so I use dill, and I'll use a little bit of the juice. And a whole lot of black pepper to make creamy coleslaw. The weather is getting nice here, so it seemed like a good day to grill. Tim was available. Just one chicken breast and a couple pieces of sausage to go along with the coleslaw and the potato salad I made. I will probably skip the meat. We'll see. I'll show you a picture of our plates. That is what's for dinner tonight. Trying another new recipe. I found this one online with some very vague instructions. 2 different temperatures to bake it at. No size pan needed, but it is a peanut butter bread. If I was making something for me, I would make it chocolate, but to make Tim happy, the man loves peanut butter, so I thought this was a good recipe to try for him. I think it's like a Depression era recipe. This was stuff I all had on hand: flour, milk, salt, peanut butter, sugar, a whole lot of baking powder, and they said if you wanted to make it cakier, you could optionally add in 2 eggs. The only thing that was weird, it said to rub the peanut butter into the flour mixture. I'm gonna mix up the dry ingredients, probably add the peanut butter, and then maybe the beaten eggs and the milk, and decide what size pan. It didn't say. I've got an 8.5, a 9, and a 10 if I can eyeball it. And it said to bake it at either 325 or 350 for an hour. I'll probably start at 325 and see how it's doing, and hope that I can make some peanut butter bread that Tim will enjoy. It's a wet batter. We shall see. Just a quick bread. Hopefully Tim will like it. Now I have to decide on the pan size. See if I guessed right. I don't know how much it's going to rise. It's got 4 teaspoons of baking powder in it. So it may rise a lot. Hopefully it doesn't rise out and make a mess in my oven. Looks done to me. Just have to wait on a taste tester. Found my taste tester. Who likes peanut butter? Let's see if he likes it. Got the peanuts in it.
It's good, but it's not sweet. Maybe I need some jelly to go on it.
I thought the same thing. It needs something.
Jelly.
It only had a half a cup of sugar in it. Jelly? Not a glaze?
Jelly.
Jelly it is. Peanut butter and jelly. Tim says it needed something, so he got the jelly out. And the verdict with jelly is?
Perfect.
Perfect. Peanut butter bread with jelly. Thanks so much for stopping by our channel this week. Y'all stay safe and be healthy. Have a wonderful and truly blessed day, y'all.